let's say I want to put a title on my website. So in Microsoft Word, I don't know if you've ever used Microsoft Word. I assume most people have. Or on Google Documents, Google Docs, there's the idea of a header and normal text and title text. And essentially it's just prescribed formats of text that are just very generic for different parts of your website. So your title will probably, if you choose title text, it would probably make your font big and bold, and then header 1 would be your largest header, your most dominant header. So that would be like, that could be your title on your website, or because it's the same on websites. So header 1 on your website is probably your title, and header 2 is probably your chapter titles, and then header 3 is probably your not sub chapters, but like sections within the chapter titles. And then it goes all the way down to header 4, 5, and 6. Most people use only about 3 headers or so on a page, but you know, they are what you make them. So we have in HTML, we have 6 headers built in, and they are progressively smaller sizes. And normal default font is about the size of header 4 or 3. But let's make a title on our page. So since header 1 is the biggest header, they named the tag aptly H1. So anything we put within this H1 will have the description of, or will have the attributes of the biggest and boldest and most prevalent content on your page, or text on your page. So let's say, let's just go with this Austin Taxi idea. Let's say this, we're going to say Austin Taxi. So this is our header for our Austin Taxi page. So when we go and load the page, we should see in big bold letters, as you see right there, Austin Taxi. Now, if we were to break this, let's say we forgot to include the closing backslash in our closing tag. So this is improper HTML, and you can kind of see, because it's not really, if we were to spread this out, and this wouldn't affect our content whatsoever, it's not picking up that this H1 tag ends here. When we collapse this H1 tag, it collapses the rest of the document because we missed that. So let's say you missed that. One way to troubleshoot this is to go through all of your tags and look at the starting and ending one, because they're both highlighted in Notepad++. So we would go through, if for some reason this isn't working, let's say we made this Austin Taxi and it's like this, and it might still work. Yeah, it still works, but it could be not working if we miss a tag. So let's say it wasn't working, because other tags would probably not work if there was an error like that. So we would go through, look at our tags, boom, that one's not lighting up or highlighting. So we know that there's an error with that tag, or maybe something bigger than that tag. So once we put that in, then Notepad++ only collapses it to the closing tag. It knows. So that's a good way of figuring out where you made an error, by just piecing through the tags one at a time, looking at the starting and ending ones. Alright, so now we have a header. Just for example's sake, why don't I show you some of the other headers? Alright, so I told you there was 6, which there are. So here's header 2, and 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and I made one too many. All right, saved it, and here we go. So those are the different header sizes. And headers are, probably the most basic and first taught tag in HTML, or the body content. All right, so let's compare this to the size of normal text. All right. So there's normal text. As you can see, normal text is the same size, I think, as header 3 by default in Chrome. So just because it said header, just because it's a header, doesn't mean it's necessarily bigger and bolder and brighter than normal text. I mean, people can use headers for like the italicized text underneath an image, or you could use headers for a menu item. There's lots of things you can use headers for. Essentially, anything can be morphed into anything else with in HTML. So nothing needs to be how it is by default. But here we have it, the headers and normal text.